Well, a very good afternoon, and as you can see, we're most certainly not in Ballinamore. Delighted to be coming to you live from the Premier in Scarborough, as we're over to enjoy MicroBizMatters Festival and the finals of the Micro Business Awards. Joining us today, we have a fabulous range of guests. We have Julia Roberts from the Ginger and Spice Festival, Jill Cole from the Organisation for Responsible Businesses, Emily Whitehead from Simply Great Britain, and we will have Sarah O'Rourke from Sargent Designs joining us in a little while, out and about on the streets of Scarborough for us. So we'll start off, we'll get each of you to tell us a little bit about your business and what you do. So Julia, we'll start with yourself.
Hi. Hi everyone, and thank you so much for inviting me to be part of the session. It's fantastic to be here. So I've got several things that I'm doing, but the Ginger and Spice Festival, I'm the founder and director of. It's a community festival that takes place once a year in the rural town of Market Drayton in Shropshire. And it's all about promoting the community and the local food and drink scene and celebrating local. I'm also a consultant, communications consultant, and I trade under Rocket Communications. And also I'm director of the Spice Larder, which is a social enterprise that raises money for the festival as well. And on top of that, I'm entrepreneur in residence at Staffordshire University Business School.
Brilliant. So you've certainly, it's not a case of asking what do you do in your spare time or anything.
No, I don't really have much spare time. Ginger and Spice Festival is the spare time work. So it's not my paid work. It's a not-for-profit. Nobody's paid really on the festival. We're all volunteering. I obviously donate my expertise in marketing and communications to the festival, which is why we've managed to, in 6 years, promote it pretty well. And we've had a good reach and it's going really well and it's successful. But I love it. I really enjoy it. If I didn't need to work and I didn't need to be paid, I would be doing it as a hobby because I love it so much. So yeah.
Yeah, no, absolutely, totally understand that. And next we'll move on to Jill Poet. Jill, delighted to have you with us.
Thank you, Roy. It's absolutely lovely to be here. Thank you. It's lovely to hear
Jill there.
You've lost me.
Oh, you're back again.
I'm back. Hello. Hello, Rory. It's lovely to be here. Thank you very much for inviting me. And it was lovely to hear about what you're doing, Julia. Sounds really exciting. So I am Jill Poet, the co-founder of the Organisation for Responsible Businesses. We launched 12 years ago, and it's a non-profit, which is about businesses operating ethically and responsibly, caring about people and caring about the environment. But our focus is on micro and small businesses and profitable, really good, solid businesses that also want to play a role in making a positive contribution to society. So at the heart, we're a membership organisation and there's a process for membership. At the moment, we are UK based, but I'm delighted to say, having met Rory, we are hoping to very soon extend that to the whole island, which is very exciting. So we have a membership process, so it's not free money from a member. We want to make sure that the values of our members are absolutely aligned. We're not expecting everyone to be perfect, but it is very much about having those core values as part of what we do. And all those small steps, every time we can do something a little bit more, a little bit better to pass our people, the community, to do some environmental impact, that is great. And as well as membership separately, we also have a responsible business online course with various certification options, and at the highest level, that's a very, very robust certification process designed specifically for small businesses. So that's me in a nutshell.
Great. We're going to talk a lot more about that over the next few minutes. Also joining us, having just run in the door, so we have to give her a couple of minutes to catch her breath. Delighted to have Emily Whitehead with us.
Hi. Yeah, literally 3 hours on the road, and here I am. Very excited to be in Scarborough. So I'm a business coach, mentor, trainer, and consultant, specialising in working with a range of different business sizes around marketing, communications, branding, responsible business, amongst many other things. But I specifically work a lot with small and micro businesses. So although I work on different programs and projects around the UK supporting businesses, actually my other half of business, I think I'm a bit like Julia. Got a couple of things I do. I've got the Emily Whitehead side, but the Simply Great Britain side is a membership organisation specifically for micro businesses. The idea being that a lot of the programs and projects I deliver on have eligibility criteria to support much larger businesses. And as we know, 96% of all UK private business is micro in size. So I'm trying to deliver some of that high quality business support, community connection, networking, peer mentoring in an affordable way to micro businesses across the UK. So we're small at the moment and growing across Britain, and really just trying to shine a light on the micro business community, and also to really show everybody how they transform lives. They transform lives for those who run the businesses, but also transform lives for the rest of us, because they tend to be sustainable, they tend to provide that vibrancy in the middle of our community, they're keeping local economies vibrant, etc., etc. I could go on all day, Rory.
That's great. Thank you very much, Emily. So we have already actually had our first comment in, and Monique Walsh, who's a regular listener in Ireland, has actually asked me to share with you all the most impressive guest list today. So thank you, Monique. Glad you're enjoying it. And as I said, the fact that we're over here and we managed to get such a wonderful group of guests together when there's so much activity going on around the MicroBizMatters Festival, etc., really was great that we were able to get them. So moving on to the general chit chat anyway. I'm going to throw the questions out there, and any of you that wish to pipe in at any stage, please do. As I said, we will be joined in a little while by Sarah, who's out and about on the streets of Scarborough for us. She was actually down doing an escape room this morning, so maybe she hasn't actually managed to escape yet. So, what do you think are the supports needed for micro businesses right now?
Well, I think it varies so much, Rory. I mean, the type of business, but it just, whatever it is, it needs to be accessible locally, and it needs to be very much, what do you need in this area? Because different areas have different challenges, so it's very hard to give a one-size-fits-all answer to that, I think.
Yeah. But as in, if there was a way to generalise it, is it access to training? Is it access to funding? If that funding, does it need to be grant funding, or does it need to be borrowings?
I think you need to be careful with borrowings. There's obviously a very good case for borrowings according to the type of business, but at the same time, you don't want to make it so easy that businesses just borrow and then struggle to repay. It depends again on the type of business. There's an awful lot of businesses now that can start up on a shoestring and can't. So again, it varies. From a very personal perspective, I'm absolutely passionate about micro businesses getting so much more profile, so much more approval than the top. You know, people tend to think as a generalisation, you're a small business. So you're just a little small business, you don't really count. And so few people understand that 96% of private businesses are micro businesses.
Okay, based on that then, is it time that there was actually an appointment of a minister for micro businesses?
Probably yes, but they need to have the right background, not paying lip service to it. And actually, you know, I don't know a huge amount about Liz Barkley, for example, but someone like that who's a small business person, but has got that small business experience itself and has passion, a real grassroots level, that's the sort of person that we would be looking for. To get someone to make that ministerial position, lip service, and can do more harm than good. I have to say, some of these business organisations can be very guilty of that as well.
Yeah, apologies, it is getting a little bit noisy in the background here.
I want to join it.
As I said, unfortunately, it's one of the joys of doing live broadcasts when you're out and about. But we'll continue on. But no, certainly, Liz is a huge advocate. It's a lot more. We don't actually have a small business commissioner in Ireland, but it's something which I think would be very good to have. But so, in terms of generating recognition, one of the things that a couple of the television stations did during COVID was they actually offered as a limited number of businesses free television exposure in terms of advertising. But again, is that enough? For a very small company to suddenly get television exposure, could that actually open them up to bigger problems?
It could do. Again, if all of a sudden they've got some good services they're offering and everyone goes, wow, I want that, and they haven't got the capacity, then they could have a problem. Conversely, they might well be well placed to deal with it.
Absolutely. And again, it is that fine balancing act.
We launched a campaign called Small Business Big Change, and it was very much about waiting, recognition. But we do need small businesses to stand up and shout out about the good things that they're doing, because we want small businesses to be doing the good things, as I said, about caring about people, and a lot of them are, but they don't talk about it, which is really frustrating. So they can need the recognition for doing that. But the more small businesses are doing that, the bigger people can see the value in doing it.
But again, I think for a lot of entrepreneurs, there's a concern that if they shout about the things they're doing well, that are others going to see it as, oh, they're just bragging?
I don't think so. It's how you do it. So long as they do it, if you've done something in your community and you've got a blog on your website, or you do some social media stuff about it with some pictures, people love it.
Yeah.
And if you talk about your environmental impact, people want to see that. So as long as it's authentic, I don't think so, not now. People like to see it, they want to know. You can't choose to buy from an ethical, responsible business if you don't know that's what they are.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And Julie, Emily, anything to add there? Or
Go Emily. Well, I was just going to say that I'm struggling to hear everything, so sorry if I'm repeating anything. But I mean, I think what micro business is, one of the things that's really needed definitely is like a collaboration, because by the very nature of being a micro business is that you have smaller budgets and you have very limited time. You typically are so stretched in so many different areas, and you're having to do everything for yourself quite often. That doing everything is almost impossible. So collaborating, and if I take Ginger and Spice Festival with Market Drayton as an example, once a year, obviously, we're promoting local businesses and providing a platform for them to shout about what they do and to speak about themselves. And we do support throughout the year as well. But they're very, very busy, small, stretched businesses, and they do not have the resources or the expertise to do it themselves. And also, I do think sometimes there is a bit of a fear of shouting about what they're doing. Some businesses jump to it and have the confidence, but others really feel quite frightened of it. And I think that needs nurturing and training, probably, for people to be supported and encouraged to do it, because nobody knows their business better than themselves. And for them to talk about it on their platforms is ideal. The other thing I think micro businesses really need support with is typically they're set up by entrepreneurs, and they have entrepreneurs have amazing ideas. They tend to be innovative. They tend to be doers. They start a project and they get going. And it's not until sort of a year down the line that they start to realize, oh, I've got to adhere to this legislation and these systems and structures. And it becomes expensive. And it becomes, and I think this is why a lot of micro businesses might not continue, because suddenly it's daunting, and there's red tape and there's more money you've got to pay. And so certainly from my own experience, I think some kind of way of signposting and helping small business, micro businesses with, the routes to growing and what they're going to need to do along the way. There needs to be more support. There just isn't enough. It feels like you're left sometimes in a big, vast ocean, rocking around in little boats, seeing the big vessels going past, creating waves. And it does feel like that. Sometimes, you ride along on the wave, but it is tough. It's really tough out there for the little businesses.
But I think equally with that, as opposed to having the plan that you go A, B, C, D, there has to be allowance made there, because for a lot of small businesses, it's not that straightforward. It's A, A1, A2, back across to B, B2, back to B1, up to D4, back to C. And so there has to be something that also explains to them when this happens, there are means around it, etc.
Yeah, if I can say, I spoke about our responsible business course, and this isn't about promoting the course per se, but obviously responsible business, we call it, you need to be looking after people, you need to be reducing your environmental impact, but you're only a responsible business if you're actually operating efficiently. You need to be profitable, you need to be meeting legislation. So that course actually includes all those first steps of legislation that you need to think about, because you don't know what you don't know. So even if you haven't got any employees, these are some of the things that you need to think about. And a lot of signposting. So, where do you look? Well, funny enough, in the UK, the UK site has got a lot more information on it than most people would ever realise. Would probably never ever think of looking on there. But that's not the only one, but the HSE. So it does have that. It's a broad course. And again, it's that commitment, if you're a small business, to actually work through it. But it is there. I'd love you to have a look at it and see what you think about it. And it's only £15, so it's, it's a huge course, next to nothing to work on it and go through it. And think, what am I doing in my business? Can I do better? Where am I now? How do I develop?
Yeah, absolutely. Definitely getting a framework in place.
I think I kind of wanted to pull into what both Julie and Jill have said already. I think there's two aspects that I wanted to highlight about what micro businesses need most at the moment. Firstly, I think we have a cultural issue in Britain that somehow micro is, I'm going to say tarnished. It's painted as a lifestyle business, potentially, a really small business. And if we see how our small businesses are represented on the television, for example, Dragon's Den, I'm a fan, that's fine. But actually, what we're saying to people is, unless your business is on a rapid linear trajectory growth, that somehow the business is less legitimate, that it's a bit small, that it's for pocket money, it's a family business. And we say all those words with a slight disdain, because we recognise in business rapid growth is the only measure of success. And of course, we know from some of the research, and there isn't enough around micro businesses, is that actually it is supporting families, it's supporting balance, it's supporting communities, it's giving back, shining lights, often being the most responsible, mainly because they can't afford to be wasteful or irresponsible. So I think there's a cultural issue there. And I think what is then meted out, or what we then see, is with the business support landscape, business support is so important. I'm completely passionate about it. Is that is then offered or prioritised for those businesses that have the potential for that linear growth that culturally we want to see. And there's nothing wrong with that. I'm not anti-big business. That's fine. But I think what happens is then the vast majority of those micro businesses don't then get access to that funded support. And when I talk about business support, as Jill mentioned and Julia, we need the full breadth. So for some people, it's going to be one-to-one coaching around limiting beliefs and fear and confidence, digital skills. For some, it's going to be something a lot more strategic. It's going to need, some proper financial, operational efficiency kind of conversations to grow to their next level, whatever that is. And everything in between, that mentoring, that training, that kind of one-to-one bespoke support. Now, we do know there are organisations out there, and that's great, but it's bitty and it's confusing and it's not universal across the whole of the UK. So you might find that some growth hubs or LEPs, and I'm sorry guys, I'm talking about in England particularly, which is where I'm based, but I understand the similar things. If you're lucky enough to have a very proactive group or a chambers of commerce that is focusing in on micros, brilliant. But there are other areas where chambers of commerce still feels like a place for big business. Or there are other, and this is not me criticising, this is simply observing what I see. So when I speak to micro businesses, they feel that cultural inferiority. They feel that any help that's out there is very expensive. So they have to prioritise their spending on what do they pay for an accountant? Do they pay for somebody to do their marketing? But they can't afford both. Do they pay for somebody to help them through an ISO accreditation? Whatever that is. And that's where the challenge is. So I think for me, it's two-pronged. Everybody needs business support, whether you're the CEO of a big multinational or a small micro business. Nobody has all the answers. Everybody needs help. We're all human and we all want to do things differently, grow, evolve, and we need help with that. But secondly, I think as a nation, we need to be so proud of that micro level. And therefore, the money will get redirected. The businesses will be celebrated. Those who run those small businesses will be lifted up as heroes, and all those lovely things that we want to see. So yeah, for me, I think what micros need is recognition, celebration. They need community and networking, and they need to have equal access to opportunity through business support.
Absolutely. Well, I'm glad to see Sarah has managed to get in now. You escaped out of the room, Sarah, did you?
I did indeed. We're just out of the room now.
Great. Well, delighted you could join us. What I'll do is I'll just take a quick step back and give you a couple of minutes to tell everyone a little bit about yourself, and then we'll get you caught up with the conversation.
All right, perfect. So I'm Sarah O'Rourke from Sarandon Designs, and I travelled over from Dublin yesterday morning over to Scarborough. I own a millinery design company, and I've recently just completed a trade show in Dublin, which was very successful. I got a stockist now out of it in Dublin city centre, which is brilliant. I hand make all my fabric in-house, and once a piece of fabric has been made, it can't actually be replicated. So each design is bespoke to its owner, and all the cut-offs are reworked back into my design, so there's no waste behind. And I've also started new lines of bridal pieces for brides, bridal parties, even communion pieces as well. So it's nice to kind of be back and doing things, because obviously things stopped for 2 years, so it's nice to be back up and running again.
Great. And have you been enjoying your morning out around Scarborough?
I have. It's lovely and sunny, so we obviously brought the sunshine over with us, so it's very nice to be here, I must say.
Absolutely. And we seem to have lost Julia, so hopefully Julia will get back to us now in the next few minutes. You've arrived just in time, because we're going to actually discuss one of my favourite subjects. Actually, here's Julia back now.
Apologies.
Welcome. No problem. We lost you there for a minute, Julia, but welcome back. But we're just moving on to talk about one of my absolute passion subjects. The day has finally arrived when we announce the winners of the Micro Business Awards UK and Ireland. One thing Emily omitted to mention when she was introducing herself to us is the amount of work she has personally done, and again, entirely in a voluntary capacity, in coordinating things in the UK to make this work, to make these awards happen. And as I said, for me, it's a great opportunity. And the reason we have Emily in studio is we've been working together now for a year on these, and we finally got to actually sit down and meet face to face.
The wonders of tech.
So we're very, very excited. I actually have the certificates here beside me, because as soon as we finish this, we'll be heading down to the TP at the MicroBizMatters Festival, where we'll be setting up to announce all the winners later on. So, as I said, anyone who is watching who'd like to slip down along and have a look, do make sure and be there. The entertainment kicks off at 2 o'clock, and it's going to be an absolutely brilliant afternoon. And I just see a message there from Maggie Garrity. Maggie is the lady who creates the wonderful certificates that we give out, and that she absolutely loves the community feeling associated with the Micro Business Awards. And I think that's one thing, having been running them since 2016 in Ireland, and this is the first time trying to take them across to the UK, it really is a community, and it's very much a community feel to it. And Maggie, at this moment in time, I'm not able to say yes or no, because until I get down there, and I don't know exactly what way we're fixed with streaming or whatnot with Wi-Fi in the venue. So it's all been kept top secret about the venue for now, and all is going to be revealed when we get down there. But hopefully we will. If not, we will get the list of winners published as quickly as possible afterwards. Sarah, as a previous guest, you'll be well aware of, there's a question that all my guests get asked when they come on the show, so we'll ask you now. What is your favourite light bite lunch?
I love a Caesar salad. That is my favourite light bite lunch. I got hooked on them. I used to live in New York, and I got hooked on them there, so brought them back across the water with me.
Okay. And no, you haven't made any Irish tweaks to it or anything like that?
No, I haven't. No, nothing. Didn't add anything to it. The Americans used to make it for me, and I make it just the way that they made it. So, loved it, I have to say.
Right. And what about yourself, Julia? What would be your light bite lunch?
Well, it has to be something with a bit of spice in it, I think. I love fresh salads with pulses and couscous and things like that, with perhaps a little bit of pepper and spice through it, definitely.
Right. And Jill, what about yourself?
We don't normally have lunch. We normally have a very late breakfast, which is sort of a good muesli with all sorts of healthy things thrown on it. But a really nice light bite for me would be summertime, sitting in the garden, in our garden, because we love our garden, with a glass of chilled white or rosé and some olives and cheese and crackers and nice.
Absolutely love it. And what about yourself, Emily? What would you go for?
I was going to say I'm copycatting, really. But I am very seasonal. So summer at the moment would be salad in the garden, dressing, hopefully things from my garden if I get around to actually growing anything this year. And then in the winter, I'm a soup girl. Just anything out the fridge gets made into a soup in our house. If it stands still long enough, it goes in.
But again, you can't beat a good homemade soup. Really and truly, nothing beats a good homemade soup. Well, I'm delighted to say for those of you that are here in Scarborough, they are providing us with a light bite lunch today when we arrive at the TP. So,
brilliant.
With some local delicacies on it. So I'm definitely looking forward to that. What I'm going to do, if you had any advice to offer somebody who's about to start out in business, what would you say to them? Just in 2 or 3 sentences.
I'd say to them, just do it. Stop overthinking it and just do it.
Yeah, absolutely. Just do it and don't give up.
Yep.
Yeah.
I
go on, Julia, you go.
Well, I'd say the same. I'd say absolutely go for it. But I'd also say get networking, because you really need to make sure that you're networking with lots of other little businesses and making contacts all the time, because that is how you grow and learn, and especially join a network, because there is so much to learn. And if you've previously been an employee, it's a whole new mindset, and anyone that's employed doesn't understand. And I think you've just got to reconnect with other businesses and just be a sponge, learn as much as you can, but go for it.
Yeah, I'd say definitely go for it. I love what Sarah said. Don't overthink it. You will never be ready. Don't wait till you're ready. Just dive in, but also find your team. So if you are on your own, you need a team. You need a team of people who can help mentor you, show you the way, create connections for you, do business with you, or just have a cup of tea with you. So yeah, find your team as well. The network is great.
What it takes for someone that's been networking for many years is the collaboration that we see now, that you didn't used to see years ago. When a competitive you're in, it was like, oh, here's my competition. Now it's how can we work together? And that is, as I say, so important and so empowering for someone who's just starting up.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I think networking has got connotations of all that kind of limited sector business and for standing up and introductions. There's nothing wrong with that kind of networking, but for me, it has to be over a cup of tea, it has to be collaborative, and it's never competition.
Yeah. And I think that is part of the problem, is there is still this ethos of the old way of networking. How many people can I give my business card to at this event? And when there's no real connections. Whereas you now need to approach it as, well, who do I know that can use your service? And eventually it will come back around full circle to you, but we will one day get there. Between us all, we'll keep pushing the message out about the right way to network, and hopefully we will get there very quickly.
Exactly.
Well, listen, folks, it's been great having you join us. This was an extra episode of the show, so I think we'll start to wind it up there. I will say, if anyone would like to join the show next week, we're going to have a very special guest, Brendan Murphy, who has been making the journey home from Ukraine, across borders and whatnot, has made it safely back to Ireland with his family, and we will have him on the show next week doing a very special interview. But to all my guests this afternoon, a huge thank you. I really appreciate you taking the time to join us, and I will see some of you later on down at the TP. I wish all of those that are entrance waiting on results and whatnot the very best of luck, and we'll see you all then. Until then, good afternoon.
Thanks, Rory.
See you later. Bye.